Jumbo.
Jumbo.
Welcome. Welcome. You are viewing, participating in Operation Power, a voice for Black radical politics
That's right.
and revolutionary change. We're so glad that you're joining us here on Black Power Media Reloaded. We come to you each week, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we ask that you join us and that you subscribe and you give us all of your comments so that we can continue to grow. Reach out and let others know about our programming and invite them to join in as well. My name is Inez Barron, and I am the co-host of Operation Power along with my husband, the bold, the outspoken, the indomitable, the one, the only, the unbought, and the unbossed.
Charles Barron. And because of our guest tonight, I'm going to say that I'm joining him and he could join me. So the only two bold people, outspoken. But I'm always honored and humbly honored to be on with the love of my life, my wife of 43 years, the stunningly beautiful and the intellectually brilliant Inez Barron.
Thank you so much. And when I say the one, the only, I mean that each person is unique in what it is that they bring. So certainly our guest, Amalia Shatella, is also the one, and there's no one else like him.
That's
so
right.
we
That's
share
right.
that phrase with those revolutionaries that are out there helping to lead our people. Well, once again, we've got an exciting topic for you and a special guest, and we're looking forward to hearing directly from him. So it's not just what's going on with the politics that's going on, talking about taking back the voting rights. It's the whole damn system.
That's right.
And that's what we're going to be talking about this evening.
That's right.
But before we get started, we do have a special video that we use because it includes a libation. And in our culture, a libation is a ceremony which acknowledges the fact that we have ancestors who have paved the way, who have given us a plan, who have provided the model for what it is to be in leadership, confronting the system and fighting for our people. So we do have a libation video that we would like to share. We acknowledge our ancestors and all that they have done to bring us to this point. So we're going to ask our engineer, if Kiru Gichiru, if he would at this time share that video with us.
For African people, nothing important happens without a libation. And so for this very important presentation, we begin by the pouring of libation. We pour libation first to our first ancestor, to that hidden one who, though hidden, manifests in all things as all things, that God-goddess idea in the universe by any and all names. To our first ancestor, we pour libation, Ashe. We pour libation too to our ancestors because they were the first people on this planet, mothers and fathers of all mankind, flashpoint of the human family. To those ancestors we pour libation, Ashe. Pour libation too to our ancestors because they were the ones who first gave birth to the idea of civilization, knew we would need a form of governance, and they nurtured that idea along the Nile until it reached its zenith in Kemet. There they built these gigantic monuments as evidence of that great civilization, and they carved instructions on the walls of temples and tombs for us, so we would never forget. To those ancestors we pour libation, Ashe. Pour libation too to our ancestors because over time they put together all the tenets of civilization and they took those ideas and left the continent. They were the people of the first Exodus. They left Africa and went all over the world and peopled the world. To those ancestors we pour libation, Ashe. We pour libation too to our ancestors because they did not sit on their laurels. They continued to improve, continued to evolve, and at each point of evolution, they again would leave the continent and settle and resettle the planet. They met themselves coming and going. To those ancestors we pour libation, Ashe. Pour libation too to those ancestors because over time, they found themselves the object of a forced exodus when they were kidnapped, shackled, cargoed, shipped out of Africa and enslaved in diasporas around the world. To those ancestors we pour libation, Ashe. Pour libation too to the ancestors left at home, the very young, the aged, the infirm, left to reinvent themselves, depleted of us, human resources, but they were enjoined by us in the diasporas, both objects of a global myopia that ruptured the soul of a people as it ravaged a continent. To those ancestors we pour libation. Ashe.
Asheo.
Aseo.
Just a moment to recognize our ancestors and know that they're watching us and encouraging us to go on.
That's right.
And that we are obligated to do our part in carrying the torch, and that we have a responsibility to teach our young and to have them get involved as well. Thank you so much. Well, once again, you're listening to the program that we call Operation Power. And Operation Power is the organization which was founded here in the East New York section of Brooklyn. And we have a video which will briefly highlight some of the accomplishments and how we got started and what it is that we want to do here in the East New York section of Brooklyn. So very briefly, talking about
Operation Power stands for people organizing and working for empowerment and respect.
Operation Power is a grassroots social justice organization founded by local community stakeholders, which includes activists, organizers, and leaders who understand that the system as it is currently structured is destroying us and our communities.
The system, the capitalist system, one that promotes human greed over human need, one that promotes profit over people, needs to be dismantled. These local community organizers recognize capitalism needs to be destroyed and replaced with socialism.
Operation Power was founded in 1997 with the understanding that uprooting capitalism needs to begin locally. Operation Power understood that our communities are the perfect vehicle to dismantle this parasitic capitalist system brick by brick, and the economic, political, and cultural institutions and other systems in place in our local community infrastructure. Whether it's the local school board, community board, city council, state assembly, all represents mechanisms to control the destiny of our.
Thank you so much. A little bit about who we are. And then there are lots of references and books that we encourage you to read. And we just want to highlight 3 of them at this point. The first one is written by Charles Barron, and it is called Speaking Truth to Power. It is a collection of articles and essays that have been written and presented over the years. And we encourage you to get it. You can get it at Barnes & Noble online. The second one is entitled, It's Not You, It's Capitalism. Why It's Time to Break Up and How to Move On. And that one is written by Malika Jabali. And it's a great presentation, basics, as well as extended examples of how capitalism is impacting our people. The next 3 books are a trilogy. They are novels. The first one is Black Rising. It is written by Kevin Barron. It's a page turner. Once you start it, you won't put it down till you finish. The second one is Black Rising, Home and Abroad, also a novel by Kevin Barron. And it's the second in the trilogy, which continues the theme. And the third one in the trilogy is called The Threat. All of these are available online at Barnes & Noble. And we do encourage you to pick them up. Very interesting reading.
And we want to say that our guest, and I hope he introduces his books. He has some must-read books for those who are claiming to be activist, revolutionary, progressive, or whatever, anti-capitalism, pro-socialism. Our guest has 2 of the, I think, most profound books for the 21st century.
And our guest is none other than Brother Omali Yeshitela. And he's been on with us before, and he's consented to come back with us again. I just want to give you a little brief bio. His roots go all the way back, going back to the period of SNCC days, and he spent years registering people involved in the civil rights movement. He registered Black voters, and at a protest at City Hall in St. Petersburg, he had the bold courage to tear down a racist mural that was hanging in City Hall. He realized there'd be consequences, and he took the consequences. He understood what he was doing and was not intimidated and was not afraid. He's founder of the Uhuru Movement for African Liberation, and the organization has been in the forefront of fighting for reparations since the 1970s. The African People's Socialist Party has been a successful model of initiating over 50 Black community economic institutions across the US and Africa. He's building community gardens, establishing recreation programs, building basketball courts, offering doula training, operating bakeries and restaurants and furniture stores and farm markets, providing disaster aid relief, because we know we can't depend on this country to do that for us, and rehabilitating housing. And we have the opportunity to go to St. Louis and see some of that rehabilitation. Right. And it is beautiful. It is timely. It is affordable to the community. We don't just say affordable to the community. And as is often the case with someone who is as outspoken as he became a target of the US government and has been a target for decades. And most recently, they charged him with a spurious charge of being an agent of the Russian government, talking about reparations. We've been doing that. He's been doing that for decades. We didn't wait for any Russians to come and tell us about the battle that we're in for reparations. And he was a part of that trial, part of that victory. He'll probably share with us. And once again, author of several books. And we invite him as he talks with us to share what those books are. Charles?
Well, first of all, Chairman, it's always an honor to have you on with us. And the topic for today, as a matter of fact, we are using a theme that you had during your convention. You were talking about, it's not just Trump, it's the whole damn system. So what we're going to do is take some of these social issues and tie it to it's the whole damn system. So tonight, we're saying it's not just gutting the Voting Rights Act, it's the whole damn system. Chairman?
Uhuru. First of all, I want to offer my most profound appreciation to the two of you, comrades, for having me here sharing this process with me, and to express my appreciation to the incredible work that you've done and continue to do up to now. In fact, you represent one of the examples of our recognition of how the Voting Rights Act has been significant, which is not what most people have talked about. And because when people talk about the Voting Rights Act, and a lot of people cry crocodile tears because of what the Supreme Court has just done, in part it's because they don't understand the history, first of all, of how and why the Voting Rights Act came into existence. They don't understand the fact that there must be something wrong because the government would have to create a special bill in 1964 that would confer the appearance of citizenship on Black people, why it would have to come up with a special act in 1965 to say that Black people can vote. That's an extraordinary statement. And it's clear testimony that African people in this country have never been considered citizens, and citizenship has never been conferred upon us. And in 1965, the period that brought the Voting Rights Act into existence, that made it necessary for the government to make this concession to a sector of the African population. 1965, you're talking about a time following the, again, 1964 Civil Rights Act. Civil Rights Act coming in the wake of the extraordinary movement that the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee had, the Summer Project in Mississippi, where you saw these 3 civil rights activists murdered by the United States government. And then even with the Civil Rights Act, you had a situation where African people couldn't vote. and which was something that undermined the attempt that the United States government was attempting to do to show the world in a time where the whole globe was involved in a struggle against colonialism and trying to involved in the process of defining the post-colonial world. You're talking about the 1960s. I mean, everything, it was the revolution was the main trend in the entire world. People were fighting against white colonial domination everywhere. And the United States was in this contest with Soviet Russia at this time for influence in the world. And it was using the fact that the United States was bombing churches and killing black babies and, putting, water hoses, lynching African people. When they killed, for example, Schwerner Goodman and Cheney in 1964. And they were searching for their bodies, and they started digging holes and et cetera. And they just started digging up black people, who were not just the ones that they were looking for. And of course, in this struggle with the Soviet Union, the struggle between what was perceived and characterized as socialism versus the capitalism of the United States, this was something that was really embarrassing and problematic for the United States government, because it needed to show the world, colonized peoples around the world, that you should unite with the United States as opposed to uniting with Soviet Russia, et cetera. And we were the glaring examples of what was wrong with this entity that was running around the world talking about it was representing, it was the ideal society representing and conferring democracy and rights on the peoples around the world. The struggles that we were involved in this country, the struggles that the peoples were making around the world, the need for the United States to try to win the support of the peoples around the world during this era is something that contributed to the need for them to offer this Voting Rights Act for Black people. This is one of the reasons they had to come up with something. But I just think it's really important to say that the Voting Rights Act was the struggle that Black people were involved in was not just to vote. The struggle that Black people were involved in was a struggle for freedom. And we look at how that struggle was being waged. We talk about Mississippi. We talk about Selma, Alabama. You know that just a few days before he was murdered by the United States government, SNCC brought Malcolm X into Selma, Alabama. Did you know that?
Oh, wow.
Malcolm X was there in Selma, Alabama. SNCC brought him to Selma, Alabama to participate in that struggle. And while he was there, he couldn't meet with Dr. King because King was in jail. But he met with Coretta Scott King, Dr. King's wife. And he told Coretta Scott King in no uncertain terms of his intentions to unite with Dr. King and the movement there, and how he felt like his participation would help them to understand that they have to accept what King was talking about, or look at the alternative that might be represented by what he was bringing. And within days, within something like 14 days or something to that effect, they killed Malcolm. And so this is the same year, 1965, that they adopted the Voting Rights Act. Now, what was Malcolm doing up to this period? What was he speaking about in 1963 that people sometimes say one of the greatest speeches ever made in this country? What was he saying? The ballot or the bullet? He was talking about the participation in the electoral process. He was talking about a program that he called Black nationalism. And Black nationalism meant economically that Black people need to control the economy of our communities. Politically, we need to control the politics in our community. Socially, we need to, et cetera, went through the entire thing. This is where Malcolm was moving, and he was laying out a program. And at the same time, King now has moved away from absolute dependency on the Democratic Party. He's talking about now moving toward a poor people's campaign and threatened to shut the entire capital of the United States down with this poor people's campaign. So you've got King, you've got Malcolm as examples of people who are moving with this intent against colonialism. And now they're uniting. And now the pressure has been put on the United States government to create the ability for Black people to vote. So now you can vote, but they killed Malcolm, they killed King, they killed Panthers or destroyed them. So now you ain't got nothing to vote for except the Democratic Party. And you don't have anybody to vote for except the Democratic Party. You don't have Malcolm's program of Black nationalism. You don't have King's Poor People's Campaign program. You just got the Democratic Party to be able to vote for. And this is what they did to us. And this was, so you got the so-called Voting Rights Act, but the Voting Rights Act for Black people was not just about voting. We weren't just struggling to vote. We were struggling against colonialism. And so they killed, you know, like the biggest torchbearers in the struggle against colonialism. They attacked the Black Panther Party, as I said. They were, you know, making assaults against our struggles everywhere around the world. And so then you can have a Voting Rights Act. It doesn't mean anything as far as they're concerned.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons I said that I think the work that you've done is so significant because most of the other Black politicians, I was talking to you about this earlier. Some of them militant Black politicians, but most of them have been unable or unwilling to take an anti-colonial program into the electoral process itself. We need that. We didn't try to not vote. People were turned off voting because the only thing they had was the Democratic Party. But you stepped forward. You started talking anti-colonialism, you and Sister Inez, and the political programs you put forward. That was extraordinary. And this is what it was that they killed Malcolm to prevent from happening. This is why they attacked me, the Uhuru movement to prevent from happening. The Black is Back Coalition School that promotes, you know, anti-colonial politics through the electoral process. They didn't want that to happen. So I think it's important to say, comrades, that we don't voluntarily surrender that democratic space.
That's right.
That, you know, because like a lot of people say, well, we fought and we died for the right to vote. No, we fought in the struggle to be free, and we saw the voting as a means by which we can move in that direction. So that's what that struggle was about. Malcolm was clear that this program that he talked about was a part of the process of liberation. He was doing more than that. He was building the Organization of Afro-American Unity that was connecting with Black people all around the world, etc. So he knew he was going beyond that. So are we going beyond that? So are you going beyond that? That's why you're in Zimbabwe, and brought Zimbabwe to New York. That's why you move with the reparations demand, etc. That's what they didn't want. They didn't want us to break out of the limitations that were imposed on us through absolute dependency on the Democratic Party and the electoral process, or the bourgeois electoral politic as the only solution. So we want that solution. We want to be able to do that because we fought for that space. We need that space. It gives us an opportunity to do what you have done. It gives us an opportunity to take an anti-colonial program to masses of Black people, and put it on the agenda. So it's not just me and a couple of other Black people who are in my organization, or a couple of the militants who are out there, et cetera, et cetera. It's now we make it a part of the property of the masses of African people. Let people debate it. It's not even a matter of having you win it every time. Let people debate it. Let it become part of the political terrain that people occupy. That's the powerful thing that's so significant that they don't want to happen. They didn't want to happen, but that's the thing that we have to remember. So we don't like the idea that they attack the Voting Rights Act, but we remind people that it's not voting that got us the Voting Rights Act.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
It was not, so it's the struggle of the people, and bringing people into political life, organizing people and breaking free of the chains of the Democratic Party, breaking free of the chains of limitations that's imposed, that they attempt to impose on us through utilization of the electoral process. We change it and make it what it is that we need to do.
And Chairman, let me say this. Talk a little bit about the campaigns that you ran in St. Petersburg with Jesse Neville and with Keeley. That was outstanding. Stuff happened that never ever happened before.
Well, you know, you were part of it, Comrade Charles. We quote you even today. We created what we call an intensive right now. People are organizing here in St. Louis, and we're doing some training, organizing training, ideological training, and we're going door to door. They're building right in the communities. We say, like Charles Barron said, door to door wins the war. Door to door wins the war. And that's, you know, so yeah, we initiated an incredible campaign because they don't want us to vote, by the way. As much as they complain about how Black people, they don't want us to vote. And I can say this without hesitation because when we were involved in the campaigns that you just mentioned in St. Petersburg, Florida, I think that was 2017. And then I think again in 2019, we ran candidates on reparations.
That's right.
And we ran candidates against gentrification with a clear thing, make South Side of St. Petersburg Black again. That was open discussion. But nobody was going to debates of these political candidates until we started going.
That's right.
When we started attending these and debating, then everybody started coming to these political debates. And on one occasion, during a debate for the mayor, they sent 20 at the Hilton Hotel in downtown St. Petersburg, Florida, and they brought 27 carloads of police. 27 carloads of police because people were raising all these critical questions. People were applauding for their candidate. They changed the rules. You can't, if you applaud, we're going to take that time from your candidate. You understand? All the time that you applaud. I mean, it got crazy. And so, yeah, we had an incredible campaign there on the ground. They changed all the rules about that and threatened to put us in jail, you know, even during that for participating. And why? Because we're raising these questions. They don't want these questions raised. Because if Black people had an opportunity to vote for reparations, if Black people had an opportunity to vote to get the police, keep the police off our butts, if Black people had an opportunity to vote to make sure that we had guaranteed employment, guaranteed income, things like that, the things that we're trying to put, that could vote to keep gentrifiers from destroying our community, Black people would turn out and vote. But they don't want that. If you put that on the ballot, you know, that's the problem. And so that's how they shut us down.
You know, it's deep about what you're saying. Me and Inez, we always talk about, wow, now that we're out of it, what we've accomplished. It is incredible that in East New York, we are the only Black community that's not gentrified.
That's right.
I was on a panel with about 10 people from different parts of the country. And the question is, how does gentrification look in your community? It doesn't exist. You know, we stopped it. So when I think about the things that you have done, and you have a quote, I want to read this because this really speaks to the whole system itself. When you said, the electoral process is an arm of the state for the purpose of maintaining control and dominance of African people. The electoral system, when it was created here, was not created for our participation. We used the system that they created for themselves to expose their contradictions and to mobilize our people. What we are doing is creating a crisis by intervention. That's deep, because see, that's what we got to do. And you always say, don't leave any arena of our oppressors uncontested.
Nothing uncontested.
Here's where you got to help me, Chairman. Here's where you got to help me. Now, I'm fighting for these voting rights. I know that I don't want to see them redrawing lines and drawing our Black leaders out of representation, because that's what they're trying to do. They want to redraw lines and gutting the Section 5. By gutting that, they don't have to get pre-clearance anywhere from the government. And now gutting Section 2, they're saying you can't use race as a factor in drawing lines, or you got to prove intent. We got to be mind readers now. We got to improve that they
Yeah.
intended to draw these lines. But here's the issue. So we fight. Let's say we win and they don't cut 10 from the Congressional Black Caucus. We keep Hakeem Jeffries. We keep Greg Meeks. We keep Zionist supporters. We keep those. See, we're fighting for something unless we do what you're talking about and get in that arena. So when we do draw the black lines, it will be for our people who are committed to us and our liberation.
We cannot give them that space. We
That's
cannot allow them to monopolize that space. There are several things wrong with that. Of course, many people who think they recognize who our leaders are think they do because of what they see during elections and stuff like that. If we allow them to be the only ones who appear to be speaking for African people, then people have this misunderstanding. Even people who like us, even people who love us, can't support us because they say, well, this is what, Representative so-and-so says black people want. There's no contest that in this arena with him. Nobody's saying that, get this chump out of here. And in many instances, we don't do it because we're too polite. We don't want to, struggle, with these persons. But we have to. We cannot allow them to monopolize that space. First of all, they were not there when the struggles were made. They weren't there. When I say them to my class, they were not there.
That's right.
And I know they weren't there because I was looking for them. You know what I mean? When these struggles were made, and so they have been purchased, by the rulers, and that's what you have. I was talking to you the other day, and perhaps it was today, about the role that you have played and the significance of that role, because I felt like that you give too much credibility to other black politicians who were in office and who got into office a certain way. Okay, they got into office in a good way, but what the hell did they do once they got there?
Right.
And even what did they say? They were safe. There's two of the ones who became most respected mayors, black mayors. Some of them, related to people who were national heroes and stuff like that. I'm in the Black is Back Coalition, had them at events that we participated in and organized, and they blew my mind because they said the people don't want to hear anything except about potholes, fixing potholes, and doing stuff like that. That they were opposed to even bring critical questions to the agenda for the masses of African people. And there's somebody who's watching this discussion right now who know what I'm talking about, know that it happened, and know who they were, etc. So that's never been you, Charles.
Yeah, no,
that's never been you.
Chairman, you're so right. Because when we got in, people told us, "Don't come in there talking no black stuff, because you're not gonna get nothing."
Yep.
We went up to the state assembly and told the Black, Latino, Asian, Hispanic caucus, you got to free political prisoners. We got them to send letters to the parole board, joining the Jericho movement to get Herman Bell released.
Yeah.
We did it. We got Jalil Montcalm released.
Yeah.
And we got Seth Hayes released.
Yeah.
And these politicians were saying, Charles, that's never going to happen. And it happened. And so when you challenge them, they have a certain level of respect for you.
Yeah.
And when you can't be bought, and when they threatened us and they saw that this was the important part, we built a separate, independent political structure, Operation Power. We didn't need them for anything, not money, not signatures, nothing. And they knew that they couldn't do anything to stop us. So you're on the right path. When we have our school, I think it's coming up in June 6th.
Right. June 6th and 7th, right?
6th and 7th. The school can now train people all over the country. And what I like about the school also is not just political pragmatism, how to win.
Right.
It's so political, ideological.
Right.
But talk about the importance of both.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important because one of the things we want to destroy the mystery of the electoral process. Most, just ordinary African working people, young activists and stuff like that, they don't think themselves capable of participating in that arena. You have to be special. You have to be super smart. You have to, have all these kinds of things going for you. And you have to have a lot of money, etc. So we want to take the mystery and help them to understand that elections are not in the Bible. Like this, I know.
Be careful now, Chairman. Be careful. Be careful now.
And that that you can participate and teach people what it is, and give people to understand what the hell is happening in the world. How you can't go to and just vote and support something. Here you have a situation where a government is killing all kinds of people in Iran. I remember when Iran was Iraq, in terms of how the U.S. government was murdering people in Iraq and using the same language and the same rationale for doing it. I remember when even under the Clinton administration, he was talking about bringing back family values. Where you heard that at? Bringing back family values and what have you. It was Clinton who said we're going to take black women off welfare after 2 years. Clinton did that. Clinton made that assault on our communities and what have you. So people need to know what the hell is going on in the world. The Iranians made a stamp of Malcolm X. Made a stamp of Malcolm X years and years and years before the United States government did that. Wow. So they have expressed appreciation, and you may remember this in 1979 when the students took over that nest of spies that they call the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. Right. And Khomeini.
Let us go.
They released the women
and
the African, the black people. You understand? I said one Negro refused to go. I'm gonna stay here with us. And I'm glad. I hope somebody does. Yeah. Anyway, but
Chairman,
yes.
As you talk about getting the people aware and having not just getting them to sign petitions, but go door to door and explaining and educating. That's critical, because otherwise they sign up saying if they're affiliating with a party, it's normally the Democratic Party. And unless they've had their consciousness tweaked, and unless they've had an opportunity to hear of a discussion and an ideology other than what they see in mainstream media and other than what they hear in sound bites, there aren't a plethora of organizations such as SNCC, those organizations that we had back 60 years ago, that educated the people and told them, as you were saying, this is not just to vote. This is a path that we're using. We're using the voting to get our liberation. So the opportunity for organizations such as yours to bring an ideology for people to understand what this battle is about, and not just get in and follow what has been done. Otherwise, we will continue to get what we already have. So, an opportunity for you to talk about some of the concrete things that you've done and some of the opportunities that people in the community have had to be able to see in the concrete what it is that we're talking about, what the ideology is that we're advancing, and how we think people need to get involved with that.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. And I'm glad that you raised like SNCC. SNCC was that bridge between anti-civil rights, anti-racist movement and the anti-colonial Black Power movement. SNCC took us from that side to the other. SNCC, as I mentioned, on February 4th, 1965, 17 days before his assassination, SNCC brought Malcolm X into Selma, Alabama. I mean, what an extraordinary thing.
Right.
I mean, and you know Malcolm, and Malcolm had such stature, and he was so winning, etc. And he added a whole different element to masses of people living in these rural communities, etc., under certain kinds of conditions and circumstances. And Malcolm raised the specter of by any means necessary, that we had to be free. So that's the thing that we take out into the world. Organize the people. That's our responsibility. People who criticize the people don't know this. That's the people know what leadership brings to them. They're just like white people in that regard. That there's an advanced force, advanced sector of the white community that helps white people come to certain kinds of conclusions. They've got various kinds of institutions that do that, but they also got people who are politicians that do that. Our community has had that as well. But what happens with the advanced sector in our community, they kill them, lock them up, slander, and do these other kinds of things so that they're not available, generally speaking. That's why we go into the communities. We live with the people. We actually struggle to bring the people into political life. So I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but when we create these institutions here in St. Louis, we made a major transformation of the north side of St. Louis, the African community. And the local newspaper here did an article after the FBI attack on us. And they had a reporter to walk up and down the streets and asking people what they thought about, they saw us stuff we were doing, what they thought about us, even though we were doing this stuff. And this is what they said in their newspaper. This is the report they got. They said, they talked to this middle-aged woman and she says, well, I don't know why they would be working with the Russians. And then they said this 12-year-old child who was with her said, all I know is don't mess with that basketball court. You understand? and they said another older brother said, told them, you tell the feds that I'm still waiting for my 40 acres and a mule. So, we do the work in our communities, win masses of people.
Right.
And because if we don't, that's our only security.
That's
our security to do the political work, for one thing. So I mentioned the basketball court. I mentioned, we just started a farm. We just opened a damn farm. Wakalia. It's an extraordinary, farm that's there. Then, Deputy Owners and Angela has led that. It's a magnificent institution. And we've got more and more properties that we're turning into the people being able to feed themselves. So-called food. We said, no, it's no food desert, it's a power desert, right? And so we bring the power and pull the people into the process of creating their own thing. And we create jobs. We ask people, looking for a master gardener, master, and et cetera, to try to get people to take this job so that we can, bring other people into it. So, that's, like part of the dynamics that we, have been involved in.
A little bit about the Uhuru Pies and the catering hall and that place I ate last when I was there.
Yes.
And I know your queen has been involved in so much of what we're talking about.
Yes. She's an artist. I'm telling you, she is a real artist, because because everything that I'm talking about now, you can see her handprint over it all, and the Uhuru Bakery Cafe. See, we had a bakery cafe many years ago in Oakland, California. And it was an extraordinary institution. Everybody who was anybody came through that institution. Even Danny Glover and Huey and all these other people, and we even we even catered a film shooting for MC Hammer. I was laughing because we took the food there. They looked at the food. They said, "What is this?" There was no neck bones. There was no. We had to go back and bring them back some more stuff. They wouldn't eat the stuff that we brought. It was healthy, But So we had that was a Uhuru Bakery Cafe, the first one we had.
That's right.
And then we created one here. We have a massive building that we purchased. It used to be a boathouse, but it's so.
Yes, we
and,
saw
and
that.
how's that? We still got that
that
massive.
house when we were there.
Yes,
But
yes.
you turned it into the not cafeteria.
We have the bakery. See, the bakery cafe that you saw.
No, not that. The other one when we were there, that you were still developing it. It was big, huge.
Yes,
place.
massive. It's massive. And so we needed another $1 million to function. And we bought it. They called us on that. They did sanction our banks and stuff, and so we had to pay off $80-some-odd thousand in a couple of weeks. But we did. It's our building. It's our building. But down the street, there was this place that had been a kind of snack shop or kind of restaurant there, small, tiny place. And so we bought it, rehabbed it, finally, because it took us a year before the city would give us a permit. The city gave us a permit to start working on it. And then they said they won't give us a permit because they said the neighborhood association has to agree with it. So the neighborhood association, quote unquote, that was run by this white woman, a reactionary white woman, the only white woman there, who said stuff like said black people can afford to eat in restaurants and stuff. She had these Negroes, and she was opposed to it. So they said we have to have a neighborhood association. So we created our own damn neighborhood association. You understand? We created a neighborhood.
That's right.
Ours was a legitimate neighborhood association, unlike hers, right? And so, our neighborhood association gave us a permission to open the thing. So we have initiated that, and we're gonna have a formal grand opening on August 15th, the anniversary of Marcus Garden.
Wow.
We're using it now. We're cooking from it now. We're using it now, etc. But the formal grand opening is going to be August 15th. Yeah.
But Chairman, that's why we have you on, and sometimes people miss all of this stuff. Let them know we're not but filled with a bunch of empty rhetoric.
Right.
All this stuff.
That's right.
And no concrete things. With all of that you're doing, now let's go abroad. You have a presence in Africa and the Caribbean and Europe. You have domestically about 40 solidarity people that are working with you in the state, all over the country and all over the world. And attached to everything you said is African theology or radicalism, African internationalism.
Yeah, that's important, because what we did, one of the reasons we survived after the 60s is that we opened up a new front. We didn't just fight the way they wanted to fight. We opened up a new front. And this front was in their neighborhood, in their bedrooms, in their homes, in their communities. And this was a solidarity movement. This was white people who came under the leadership, who were won to African internationalism. I mean, you're talking about dedicated people. People have been in the movement 40 years and what have you. People like Penny Hess, but there are others. Penny Hess is quite visible. There are others who make amazing kinds of sacrifices to participate in this, to work. And part of the reason they can do it is because ours is not simply a struggle against racism. That's a dead trap. It's a trap because it puts white people in a situation of feeling like they have to struggle against being white. That's nothing. They can't change that. But they can be against colonialism and recognizing that the basic and fundamental philosophical foundation, ideological foundation of colonialism is what they refer to as racism. This whole thing of the significance of white people over everybody else. So they have to participate in the process of killing the whiteness in them, as a process of national, how do they put it? the erasure of the whole white nationalism inside themselves. So that's part of the process, and they do this with work. And this is another small thing, because because white people have the ability more than anybody to say I'm with you, I love you, I'm supporting you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that ain't enough. The fundamental self-criticism, reparations is a profound self-criticism by white people. Reparations, payback, repair the damage. That's what you have to do. And this is primary to the work. So in 130 some odd cities, there are white people working under our leadership, doing reparations work, taking people. Some people don't know why. Like polls have shown that there's a greater acceptance of reparations by white people, et cetera, et cetera. We've been doing this. We've been working in white communities, not just there. I mean, using creative means by which we win white people, their communities, et cetera. People bring their parents. When you were there, Charles, at the bakery, one person who was there from Ohio, white young man, said, I want you to meet my mom and my dad. They came up to be here as well. You understand? This is the thing that we're doing. We're changing the world. It's not just a matter of as Marx said, of philosophers have explained the world in certain ways. The point is to change it. And if your explanation doesn't contribute to changing it, it's worthless. I have no use for it. You understand? So the thing that we say is that this world is one that was created by human beings, and we are human beings, and we don't like the way it is, and so therefore we can make the world that we want. And it's not just good enough to complain about the world you don't like. We create the world that we do like, that we do want, as a part of the process of eradicating this world that we don't like. So that's the kind of thing that we try to take on.
Well, you're doing great with that. And what I want to tell our people that as we fight for this voting rights stuff, just remember this. Clarence Thomas, the most embarrassing Negro that you can think of. How did we get Clarence Thomas? George Bush Sr. recommended him, nominated him. Biden was the head of the committee that had to confirm him or send his confirmation to the Senate. Remember, it was Biden who disrespected Anita Hill. It was Biden who wouldn't let them bring in other women who said he had violated them as well. Biden refused to hear them. Then check this out. As we fight for the Democrats, as y'all fight for the Democrats to get control over the Senate, they send his nomination for confirmation to the Senate. The Senate was 57% Democratic and 43% Republican. 11 Democrats confirmed him. That's how we got Clarence Thomas from Democrats.
Sure. And that's the story. Joseph Robinette Biden, the guy who created the omnibus crime bill with the police, with the police that Clinton used. William Jefferson Clinton used in his campaign to put promising 100,000 policemen that he was going to put on the streets. And everybody knew that he was talking about black people. I thought everybody knew, except the black people who said he's the first black president because he can play the saxophone.
He didn't inhale. He didn't inhale.
He did not inhale. He didn't inhale.
Well, Chairman, someone posed a question talking about homelessness, so I just wanted to jump in quickly and share with whoever was asking that question that as elected officials here in New York City, Charles and I made sure that we had a concrete, tangible, measurable response to reducing homelessness here in our district.
Right on.
That by requiring anyone who asked to bring a housing project into our district would have to have a provision that they were included in the number of units, a set aside for people who are, as they call them, formerly
That's right.
homeless, because
That's
once
right.
they get there, they're no longer homeless. And we also had a developer who wanted to take down an area that was a shelter and build brand new shining structures and have new units along with a dedicated building of upgraded shelter apartments. We said, "Are you crazy? That's not happening. No, we're going to take if we're going to support your project, you're going to build the units that you're talking about. It's going to be affordable to the people who live here, and those same families, 200 families that live in that shelter that will be destroyed will have permanent housing in the development that
this sister did that. She did that. And they had a fit. But you know why? It's because what you say, Chairman, power.
Yes.
Equalized.
Yes. Yes.
We had the power.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter that they were billionaires. They couldn't get by the power of a city council member.
So as the person who posed that question, we just wanted to give you a concrete example of how we had, as elected officials, political people in that arena have required that we have a tangible answer to their homelessness. And I know that the housing that you are rehabbing is also intended for those persons who have been facing challenges of being able to be stable in their homes. So you might want to talk about the project that you've done, that we had an opportunity to see the beautiful renovations that you've done.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that's extremely important. I want to just restate my appreciation for the two of you, for the work that you've done. Fanon, I think I saw something by Fanon just maybe a week or so ago, where I think he was saying that that Africans have been homeless since the Europeans first attacked Africa and what have you. That was the origin of the homelessness. But also, we have involved in the process of rehabilitating locations, and one place in particular is extremely dear to us. It's a fourplex, and this fourplex is something that we will house African men and women released from the prison system, because we're putting them into an African International work program where we will train them how to do culinary work and how to actually become owners and things like that in the businesses. And they need a place to stay while that's going on. And one of the places that's one of the things. It's named for Mafunde Lake, but it also it's a fourplex. So there's part of it. One thing is named for Asada. One is named for one of the people who you mentioned who was in prison. I can't think. I think you mentioned him anyway. But one is named for Sundiata. And other people who have been Dusty X Woods. There are places in there named for them. So they're not just dead people. They're not just chunks of meat that they can kill and discard, and everybody's supposed to forget them. Every time somebody passed that, and they see the memory of those people who fought for African people. But in earlier on, many years ago in Oakland, California, we took on this issue of homelessness of African people. There were hundreds of abandoned houses that owned by the city of Oakland. In fact, the majority of the commercial rental property in East Oakland at the time was owned by white landlords who didn't even live in the city. And the same thing was true of commercial rental properties. So, and what they would do, of course, is they let the properties decay. They would be able to make money, take money, tax write-offs and stuff like that, deteriorate the community so that Black people didn't want to be there, and what have you. Then they could have the properties got for nothing, et cetera, or near nothing. So we went in and we initiated speaking of voting, we put a measure on the ballot called the Community Control of Housing measure. And the Community Control of Housing measure was something that we split the city up into something like 12, 13 different districts based on income. And among other things said that, and every district would have a board, like a community a housing board that's elected by people who live in that district. And no rent could cost more than 25% of the income in that particular district.
That's what's happening.
And you had a place in West Oakland where 97% of the people were on welfare. And yet meant that no rent could be higher than 25% of the people. And if they were wealthy, 25% meant something different, in that particular district. And we shook them up. Go ahead.
We've run out of time.
Okay.
It was so good. Look, it was getting so good. I forgot about the time.
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna have you back, but even though we're out of time, take a minute to close us out with anything that you want. This was fantastic, man, and we're gonna
I appreciate this, and I never feel really quite prepared when I'm here with you. I mean, you bring such a dynamic, discussion. But I just want to say that the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations is having our 10th annual electoral school here in St. Louis. It's going to be June 6th and 7th. And we really want people to come and attend. And the theme is the ballot and the bullet. It's the whole damn system.
That's
and
right.
we're not going back. We're not going back. And so it's going to be at the Uhura House here in West Florissant, and people can get more information by simply going to blackisbackcoalition.org, and people can register by going to tinyurl.com/BIB School 26. That's a lot for me.
Say it one more time. Say it one more time.
So register at tinyurl.com//BIB School 26. Or you can go to blackisbackcoalition.org, and the website will include housing information, the whole bit. And I look forward to seeing you, because I know you're going to take us back. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely going to take you. Oh, we put it up. They put it up for you. Good.
Oh,
so we're going to see you in June.
Yes, comrade.
Fun. So, Chairman, we already appreciate.
Well, in July that we're going to have to be.
Oh, right, in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, yeah, we have this oral arguments around the appeal that we made on that bogus conviction. Yeah.
Well, brothers and sisters, I mean, it's always an honor to have the chairman on, and we know that the work that he's doing, the work that his wife is doing, Ona, and his whole organization is a revolutionary continuing process, because we're winning. And
indeed.
We're going to win.
Indeed, comrade. Indeed.
Every program, power is the great equalizer.
Right
Black
on.
power.
Black power. You're such a beautiful